Recently in the Venom storyline, Eddie Brock has gotten back Venom and they fought against Knull, the god of the symbiotes. But in order to defeat Knull, Eddie had to sacrifice Venom, who willingly went down, and he seemingly died. But as we discovered when the evil Reed Richards, the Maker, told Eddie, the Venom symbiote did not die. It became basically brain dead with no personality of its own. The only way to restore the original Venom personality would be to go to the planet of the symbiotes, and well, Eddie Brock doesn't exactly have a spaceship at his disposal. So he does the next best thing. He's going to try to fix his own life and go back home to talk to his father. If you've just stumbled on here, then you have found the Complete Story series. It's a series we do here at Comicstorian, where we take your favorite comic books, video games, and movies and TV shows, and we break down the lore and the plot within them so that you have a better understanding of your favorite pop culture icons, and then can then go buy the next comic book, video game, or see the next movie. I hope you guys enjoy this. And if you're watching this right now, we're also live on Twitch at twitch.tv/eligiblemonster, where you can chat with us about any of your favorite comic books or video games. Hope to see you there, and enjoy the video.
In our last video, Eddie was captured by an alternate version of Reed Richards calling himself the Maker. After Eddie's fight with Knull, the Maker took Eddie away after extracting the remains of Knull so that they could do some testing. After learning about something called the Codex, Eddie managed to break free with the help of Flash Thompson's DNA, and he boarded a bus to San Francisco. As faint snores and tapping rain fill that silent bus, Eddie sits in his seat thinking about the good times. The times when you love someone and your lives are tied together. Two of you become a hive mind of joy. Everything you two do goes into the same shared place. And when your other half dies, that hive mind is left to you to carry on alone. That feeling, that massive, unmanageable weight, that's what grief is. That's despair. That's life for those left behind. And right now, Eddie's other, Venom, has become brain dead. It has no personality, something more than a defense mechanism. As Eddie keeps to himself, a man walks back asking if he can sit next to him. The old guy that he was next to just keeps talking about his grandkids. Eddie doesn't answer and he keeps looking out the window, and the man tells him to come on. His dog doesn't need a full seat. He shouldn't even be on here. His dog is Venom. Eddie still doesn't respond, and the man yells, "Hey, look at me when I'm talking to you." Venom gets up and he begins to growl, and the man stumbles back asking, "What the hell is that?" Eddie continues to look out the window as the man runs back to his original seat, and then an announcement goes off that they're arriving in San Francisco. Ding. Eddie gets off the bus and he walks Venom down the street, thinking back to all of the times that he experienced grief before. First, it was when he lost his sister Mary to breast cancer while he was away. Cancer then took his uncle. Cancer runs deep in their family, and death runs even deeper. Eddie looks up at the street signs and he knows exactly where he's at. It was here that the accident happened. A really, really bad accident that left his father, Carl Brock, bankrupt. From that day, his father has hated him. Eddie keeps walking until he sees his old mailbox, his old house, and he decides to stop. He walks up to that door and he knocks on it. And his father, Carl, opens up screaming, "Get the hell off my property before I call the police!" Eddie sighs. "Dad, listen, before you start, I just wanted to say..." Carl cuts him off yelling, "You don't get to say anything after showing up wearing that ridiculous costume. Why are you even here? You need bailing out again?" Eddie shouts, "Would you just shut up? I don't want anything. Just don't yell, okay?" Carl looks Eddie in the eyes and he tells him, "Let me be very clear about something. This is not your home. You have brought nothing but pain and misery and shame to this family. This is not a place you come to for help. I want no part of you or that insane delusional life that you've been leading. You are not my son." Eddie stops him. "Please, don't say that I'm not yours. I know that you have a lot of hatred for me. This is all I have. After Mom and Mary died, I thought maybe we could be good." Carl asks him, "Mary? Who's Mary?" Eddie stops. "Why would you say that?" And Carl goes on telling him, "I have no clue who Mary is. Some harlot whose life you've ruined, perhaps?" Eddie yells, "Your daughter! What are you saying?" Carl grabs the door to close it. "That is enough. I'm not even playing your games. You've never had a sister, and..." Eddie grabs the door, yelling, "Wait! Why would you say that? You're gonna talk to me, or..." But before Eddie could finish, Carl punches Eddie in the face and he tells him, "Now you gone and done it, get the hell back out of here before I make sure you're put away for." Eddie stumbles back and Venom begins to bark, covering the entire doorway, lunging at Carl. Eddie pulls back on the leash, yelling, "Don't!" And Carl slams the door shut, trying to push Venom back out. Eddie keeps trying to rip Venom away, asking, "Please don't hurt my dad. He's all I've got." But that's when Venom pulls back, throwing Eddie into the house. Inside, Carl drops the phone as Venom wraps around his throat and another voice calls out, "Dad!" A young boy runs down the stairs, Carl yelling, "Dylan, run!" Eddie stops looking at the boy asking, "Did he just say Dad?" Eddie finally manages to pull Venom off and he tells him, I'm sorry. I didn't know." And Carl yells, "That's right, you better run, just like you always do." Eddie runs out into the street in front of a passing car. Eddie stands there watching the car as it tries to hit its brakes, but before it can hit him, Venom reaches out, throwing the car over him. Eddie looks at the man crawling out of the car, and he says, "Dad is right. Pain, misery, death, it's all I'm capable of. This isn't my home anymore. I'm nothing. I'm alone." A few days later in a dark alley, Eddie sits with Venom as passerbys throw change at his feet. Picks up a quarter, and he looks at it. He starts to cough blood onto it. Why can't his other just help him? Why is Venom like this right now? Why can't he talk? But just then a voice calls out, "You're Eddie Brock, right? You're Venom? You came to my house the other day?" Eddie looks up to see Dylan with a black eye, and he goes on telling him, "It's about our dad. We have to kill him." A little while later in a diner, Dylan eats his french fries asking, "Where did the name Venom come from? I still can't believe you're my big bro and you're Venom. How cool is that?" Kid at school said that Spider-Man was so much cooler because of his moral code. But you're like a good guy now, right? Eddie listens to Dylan and he thinks of all the things that he's been through and how he'd much rather be fighting a god than be here. But before Dylan can go back to talking, Eddie asks, "What were you talking about killing our dad?" Dylan remains quiet for a second and then he asks, "Why do you hate our dad so much?" Eddie tells him, "Well, there's a lot of hate." And Dylan says, "Yeah, but why? I heard about some accident, but it never made any sense." Eddie stops him. "Listen, you're just a dumb kid. You don't know any better. It was just us back then. Mary had already gone too." And Dylan again asks what his father asked him. "Who's Mary?" Eddie says that she was his older, don't worry about it. "Anyway, I should have been paying attention. I should have reacted. By the time I saw what was happening, it was too late. I can still hear our dad screaming in the distance. I can still see it playing out every time I close my eyes. Blood and metal screaming. I can still feel the weight of what wrapped around me. I can still taste the booze on his breath. That night, I became a monster. I stole our dad's car, and a few of my dirtbag friends went out and we got loaded. We were trying to get home before Dad noticed, but Miss Lewis next door wasn't home and a little boy was outside playing. I didn't see him." Dylan reaches out telling him, "I'm so sorry. I don't really think that makes you..." But before he could touch Eddie, Venom slams the table and Eddie says, Don't touch me." Dylan tells him he's sorry, but what happened next? Eddie goes on telling the story. "I was young, white, and the son of a rich and powerful man of the community, but I wanted to plead guilty. Dad told me to rethink that, but I still said that I would plead guilty for killing an innocent boy. Dad said he needed to speak to his son alone, and once everyone left, he began to beat me, asking if I have any idea what this will do to him. Do not plead guilty. Every time I tried to say that I deserved it, he would hit me again and again until he finally slammed my head into the table. He lifted me up, telling me to say it, and eventually I said I was innocent. He let go, telling me, 'Attaboy. You just keep practicing, you get yourself cleaned up.' Eddie begins to stir his coffee, stating, 'I went off scot-free. Not even a dent on my permanent record. Dad paid off the family, the lawyer, the judge, and the hospital. He nearly went bankrupt in the process, and he's been angry at me ever since. The whole thing about protecting innocents, yeah, that'd be it. Someone has to protect them for people like me.' As the two leave, Eddie says, 'I told you all of my stuff. You mind filling me in on why you want to kill our dad?' 'Oh, I was just mad. I don't want Dad to die. I just want him to stop hitting. It doesn't happen often, but when he gets mad, he's like..." And Eddie stops him. "A monster?" Once the two of them get to the back alley, Dylan says that he was hoping that he could stay with him a while. And Eddie says, "Oh yeah? Well, pick any spot you like. This is where I'm staying." Dylan looks around and asks, "This is it?" And Eddie coughs, telling him, "I ain't really much to look up to." He sits down with Dylan asking what's with the cough. "Are you infected or something?" But Eddie looks up and he sees Knull looming over Dylan. He screams out, "No! I killed you!" Knull grabs Eddie by the throat, telling him, "You cannot kill the void. I am coming. God is coming. Edward Brock." Eddie suits up, kicking Knull back, but before he can finish him off, Knull yells, "Wait! Please stop! You're hurting me!" And Eddie pauses, asking, "What?" That's when he sees Dylan. "Please, I'm sorry. Don't hit me again." Eddie stops. What is going on? But before he can answer, he begins to cough up more blood, telling Dylan to get away. He can't help him. Later at the hospital, Dylan waits in the visitor's room when two men open the door and they tell him that he needs to come with them. They begin to ask him questions, and while Dylan is looking at one of the men, the other sticks him and takes his blood. Dylan asks, "What's going on?" And the men tell him that he can go on ahead. Another voice tells Dylan that there's a great deal wrong with Edward Brock. There's an obvious post-traumatic psychic scarring that is coming from fighting a god. Then there's an alien life form attached to his central nervous system that has infuriatingly placed him into a coma-like stasis. Maker goes on telling him, aside from that, he's got a lot of cancer.
"Eddie, I am your father." Wouldn't that have been cool if Venom had said that? Like in the middle, we just broke into like a Star Wars moment and it was like, "Edward Brock, I am a black goo that takes over your brain. Something along those lines would have been amazing. But anyway, what do you guys think about the current direction that Venom is going in? We started out with a huge bang. We had Knull, the god of the symbiotes, coming down and Eddie fighting against it. And then the revival, seemingly, of Agent Venom. Flash Thompson coming back. But now we're kind of diving deeper into Eddie Brock himself. If you want to know what's happening in the current run of Venom, then make sure you subscribe to our channel right here at Comicstorian. And like I said at the beginning of the video, we also stream on twitch.tv/eligible-monster. We do solo streams in the morning. In the afternoon, we do various podcasts from the Conspiracy Cast to the comic book review show. And in the afternoon, we do co-op stuff. Either way, we're live on most days and you can come hang out with us. Thank you for your time, and I'll see you next time, right here. Edward Brock, we are Venom!